All right, well, today is hopefully an exciting day because we are finally tuning the K-Swap Cefiro build. Now, we did try this a couple weeks ago and we ran into a handful of issues. Car wouldn't rev past $5,000, so I got on the phone with Haltech tech support. They were able to figure out a software bug that was rev limiting it at $5,000. Fixed that, did just a quarter throttle pull past $5,000, and noticed that the RPM signal was really wonky. Just going up and down in these little waves, it wasn't what it was supposed to be. I've been talking to Brent from PM5 Speed, and he had asked me about my crank trigger wheel, and long story short, turns out the crank trigger wheel was backwards. So took everything apart, flipped the crank trigger wheel around, put it back together, put an ATI damper on it, knocked out a handful of little things. Started to back up, everything seemed good, got that dialed in. We also replaced the VTC solenoid because that wasn't working when we tried to tune it last either, so we didn't have any control over the intake cam, which is variable. So got that fixed, crank trigger wheel fixed, timing base reset, timing light checked, everything was good, running-wise. Then we developed low oil pressure. Could not figure it out, dug into this thing top to bottom. Turns out it was just a loose timing chain tensioner. So it had just, the bolts had backed out from the vibration. It was bleeding oil pressure past it. Tighten that back up and all is well. We've got the oil cooler back in, new oil filter, fresh oil. As far as I know, the thing's ready to go. I test drove it, got on it a little bit, like 20-30% throttle, and everything feels good. But I didn't really want to get after it too hard until my buddy Stu was here because he is a very knowledgeable tuner, Rogue Art Tuning. I'm going to have him, watch everything, and he should be able to dial in the tune pretty well. It already runs and drives pretty good. It's just working out the last bits of fueling and timing and variable cam timing to get it to spool up quick and getting the boost control set, all of those odds and ends. But moral of the story is, unless we run into any other headaches, we should be able to actually do some real pulls in this thing finally, which I can't tell you how excited I am to actually use this thing for what it's meant to be used for, because I have a drift event, a private day planned for this weekend. So if this all goes well, we're taking it drifting in 2 days. So yeah, it's a big day. Hopefully it all goes smoothly. Keep your fingers crossed. Let's get into it. Throttle, but it only made 10 pounds there.
That's fine.
All right.
Go for it. Dude, it feels pretty great.
Real cool. Oh, God. Death wobble.
Brakes.
Death wobble.
Yay, we got some real bulls in.
I was thinking about it today. I was like, and it's funny because I had some tuning done on the Miata yesterday. I street drove it to see how different it was, and I kind of fixed it. And I was like, man, this is like, I shouldn't have done this the same day I'm going to drive this, because this is not going to feel that crazy because I just drove the 500 horsepower Miata.
Boost correction's pretty good.
Oh, sweet.
So, started to fall off a little bit at like 5,800, but just the natural wastegate sprint curve looks pretty nice. Alright, go for it. Boost cut out for a second.
Oh, that was me. I hit the clutch.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. I was like gonna shift, and then I realized I'll do second.
Yeah, try it. Yeah, it's fine.
How are the air fuels on that one?
Well, it's the 10s, not the 9s.
Better. It felt better.
If you're doing third, I'd probably start it at like 3,500
Yeah,
or
we'll
something
do
like
second
that.
and third. You ready?
Go for it.
Gotta figure out my depth lock.
Yeah, right. It could take, might want a little more timing too. Like I said, I got the timing pretty conservative.
Yeah.
So on the low end, it might just want a little more timing, but I want to get the fueling right before. Ready?
Yep.
Alright. That felt better.
Yeah, it felt like it spooled up a lot.
Because if it's running too rich, it definitely takes longer to spool up. So even just cleaning all that up, it'll help a lot. And then I'm sure I can throw a little bit more timing at it too. Good when you are.
Yep.
Yep.
Pretty long and low pressure. Yeah, no, I mean, it's been fine. I just like, I noticed it pop up.
Yep, nope, I got it. 60. It's weird because it's just through this one RPM spot and it was only in second gear. Other than that, it was fine. It's kind of weird.
It might be something to do with where the sensor is.
Yep.
It's so weird.
5 and then it was back up by 6. But then third gear, it was fine. Yeah, it's kind of odd.
It is weird.
I'll keep my eye on that. Go for it. It's on 11.2 when you let off. So I'm shooting for like 11.3 to 11.5.
Right. Nice safe.
Yep, go for it.
It looked
Nice little pull off.
It looked like a huge drop off when you showing up.
Fuel pressure and everything looks great.
Yeah, I've got the front pump, the second stage. You ready?
Go for it.
All right, well, tuning went surprisingly well. It went very well, all things considered. I am so happy because that was the first time we really beat on the car. You know, multiple pulls in a row, ripping on it, you know, sitting there idling while Stu made his tuning changes. I mean, we were probably in the car with it running for like an hour and a half. And then everything did its job. Cooling system was working. I definitely need to put some sort of a bleeder in this upper heater hose. There's definitely still air in the system. So like when you're sitting and the water's not moving very fast, the temps will get up to like 185, which fan on temp is 180. They should turn off at 170. If you're moving or revving at all, they'll drop down the fan off temp. So the cooling system is efficient. There's just air caught in the system. But what I'm trying to say is that everything seemed to work as it should. I mean, beating on it, banging gears, revving it out, all seemed well. We were only on like 8.5 pounds of boost in second and about 9.5 in third. Super conservative boost. We're very conservative on the fueling. It's like a very low 11 AFR, and then very conservative on the timing. So all we really had time for last night was for Stu to dial in the fueling. I'm sorry it was late and dark. I know you guys probably couldn't see that well, but that was the only time he could get out here before the drift event. So he is hopefully going to come to the track tomorrow as well. So that'll be really cool to have him there, and he can tweak the tune, you know, at the track drifting the car. That's like what it's going to do. So it's like perfect to kind of dial in the tune there. And I think it's good to start safe where we are, you know, low boost, conservative timing, rich fuels. Just that way we can kind of, you know, just ease our way into testing out the car and kind of leaning on some of the other parts before we start leaning on the engine at all. So anyway, I'm really excited. We got a couple more things to do before we get this thing loaded up. So I got a project for the inside, but before we do that, Got some tires to mount, so I already got a set mounted. Got none other than some Nittos, of course. So these are Nitto Invos. I've never ran these because they don't make them in Miata sizing. They're a 255. A good tire that should last well, have decent grip. We're not looking for crazy grip with this car like we are with the Miata. It's just a fun event car. We're just looking to go slide around and have fun. So we've got 2 sets of those for rears and a set of 235s for the front. However, those are for 18s. And right now I have 17s on the car because the 18s didn't clear. Funny enough though, they do already have Nittos on them. They're NTO5s. But kind of a debacle. I still have not bought and picked out wheels for this car. It's kind of on a mix of like RX-7 and extra wheels. And I don't really have any spares. I've been struggling to decide like what wheels I want to buy. Do I want to buy some baller wheels, at least one set, and get some cheap spares? Do I want to get all cheap wheels for now? Do I want to get single piece wheels or 3-piece wheels? I'm really up in the air and I've been putting it off, and now it's time to go drifting. I didn't have any spares, but luckily I have good friends, Geraldo and Josue. So they had some stock Z wheels, so I tossed those on here, the RX-7, took its wheels to have his drift spares, mounted the tires on them, and then Geraldo let me borrow a set of his Cosmos wheels. So we'll have 2 full sets of rears plus what's on the car right now. And I think that'll be plenty. We are going to a private day, so if the car is working, we're gonna get a lot of seat time. But again, we're gonna ease into it. This has been a long build. I don't wanna go out there and just break it off rip. So a lot of jibber jabbering. Moral of the story is I need to mount this other pair of tires, and then we'll get into the project we gotta do inside the car. Funny, I'm so not used to mounting big 18s. The Miata wheels are so much smaller, so much lighter. The tires have bigger sidewall. It's definitely a lot more work to mount an 18. Forget how big and heavy they are. Is this reverse mount? All right, well, it turns out they are reverse mount. Throw these on the car because, you know, these are borrowed wheels, so I want to kill these tires first so I can take them off and give them back. Not sure how they're going to fit offset wise. Oh, let's see how these Johnnies fit. Oh yeah. Dang, so I need to figure out what that effective offset is with the spacer and order wheels that size for a 255. Oh my gosh, that's perfect. I just can't believe how well those fit. For like completely different car with flares, I had no idea what the offset of these were. They literally fit perfect. Oh, and they might rub. Oh, it's close, man. It's pretty much spot on fitment. Oh, that's exciting. At least I know what rear spec works with the 255, and then I know what rear spec works with a 235. Jibber jabber. So, one thing I'm going to do real quick is go ahead and throw the car on the lift and just nut and bolt it. This car vibrates a lot at the moment, and I want to go do that now because if not, I'll be like, I'm out of time. It'll be fine. We're going to do it now. We're just going to get it over with. be saying to yourself, why didn't you just put it on the lift to change the tires? I know, I wasn't planning on doing this. No, I thought about all the bolts that could have come loose from the drive when our timing chain tensioner bolts came loose from short amount of driving. Definitely something I should check. So I'm gonna knock that out real quick, then we'll move to the inside project. Well, I went ahead to load the trailer up because it had calmed down. Raining a little more now. All right, whew. So, nut and bolted this thing, everything looks good. So we're good there. Need to drop it off the lift and then knock out that inside project I keep talking about. Oh man, it's raining again. Raining. All right, so the next little project we need to tackle, we need to mount our Haltech digital dash here. So right now we have it just sandwiched in here by pushing the steering column up. We're gonna be drifting, car's gonna be flopping around. It needs to get mounted. I mean, we're gonna do it anyway, but we really need to get it done. And the only thing I'm afraid of, honestly, is pulling this out because it's like the dash has been glued in and I just don't wanna break all this. I'm a little nervous, but we gotta do it. So I got this bezel from a company in Australia. They make all sorts. Oh man, look at how perfect that fits. It was expensive, and I was like, man, that's expensive for something that's like 3D printed, but definitely worth it. So we can wire up our turn signals and stuff to this back connector here. So basically that they show on the display, because we're going to be deleting our stock display entirely. We can put that, you know, high beams, parking brake. We can wire all that into this connector and it'll show up here, which I wanted to do when I did this, but we don't have time for that right now, so we're just going to put it in. Okay. Well, there were no screws in it, so it really wasn't that bad. Oh, that's the good news. The bad news is there's no screws in it. No, it doesn't really fit. I think I'm gonna have to shave it down some. It's gonna look sweet though. Alright, well, I'll shave it down real quick. Alright, I don't want to shave off too much, but I got it to squeeze in there. Moral of the story. Alright, let me check it real quick. Oops. Like we're not getting switched ECU power now. Alright, I got it working. I guess whatever the 12 volt ignition source I had to trigger the ECU power doesn't work without the dash. The gauge cluster. Weird. Alright, look at that. The only thing I was worried about is it is really far away. Like the cluster in this car is just so far away. At least it'll be easy enough to pull this out and do the rest of the wires. Yeah, that's sweet. All right, done and dusted. Unload this thing up. All right, I've got the back of the truck up on ramps. My driveway angle helps too. I still don't know if this thing's gonna go in the trailer. I've never loaded it. I've only loaded it on a trailer once. It was the open trailer bringing it here with no engine in it, no front end. So, wish me luck. Alrighty, got this thing loaded in the trailer. Getting it in wasn't so much of a struggle. I am worried when we don't have the driveway angle. So I brought all the wood ramps. I'm so spoiled with the Miata. It's got a poly KVD front bumpers. I just let it fold under the car, it doesn't matter. And then also strapping it was pretty tough compared to what I'm used to. The Miata has like no rear overhang. This car has like a mile of rear overhang. So I had to slide up next to the wheel to get over the control arm. The tent that I normally keep here was in the way for that. So it was a bit of a struggle. Moral of the story, a bit of a struggle, but we got it in there. We've got some room to spare in the back and still plenty of room in the front. This is the first car besides the Miata I've actually loaded in here. So it's nice to see kind of what room we have. I mean, this is like the biggest car I own by far. And we still got plenty of room in here. So stoked on that for sure. But yeah, anyway, she's loaded up. I'm gonna close this thing up and we'll head to the track in the morning and hopefully do some drifting. Hopefully it goes well. You know, a little nervous, but I think she's as prepared as she's gonna get. You know, the only way to find out what it's gonna break or what issues we're gonna have is to take it to the track and put it through its paces. So that's what we're gonna do tomorrow. But for now, that's gonna be it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.